Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What things were you told growing up that were just plain lies? When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I was out in my backyard digging for treasure, as kids do, when I found a dirty penny. I excitedly took my treasure inside to clean it in the sink, when to my horror, I dropped my treasure down the drain. I ran to my mom and tearfully explained to her that my penny went all the way to China. Now, you'd think the story would end there, but it's just the beginning. About a week later, I got a letter in the mail. I'm 6, so this is a big deal. This has never happened before. So I opened the letter in front of my mum and brothers and started reading the contents out loud. It was a very official-sounding declaration from the president of the Chinese government that they had found my penny and, from analyzing the fingerprints, had determined the penny belonged to me. There was also an identical copy of the letter in characters I couldn't recognize, and of course my penny taped to the letter. Took that penny and letter to show and tell and held on to it for years. As I got older, I figured out Santa and the Easter Bunny were fake on my own. But man, was I disappointed when I was told that my China penny wasn't real. Edit. I should add that this is a happy memory for me, and I see it as more of a fun, white lie not done maliciously. Parents who don't lie for their own convenience, but who create an elaborate, cute story to comfort their child. Where can we find such parents? That's adorable as hell. I always thought adults were geniuses that knew everything. I once asked my dad how waves at the beach were made. He said whales. I believed that for years. On this one, I've got to give props to your dad. He might not have known the answer, but he sure was a quick thinker. Alternatively, Dad's just as gullible as Op, and Grandpa is in fact a speedy thinker. That Saddam Hussein shot down Santa's sleigh with an anti-aircraft missile on Christmas Eve, 1990. My grandpa was a liar. My grandpa was alive and well. I'm curious as to why he felt the need to say that. What actually happened to Santa? Bet Grandpa forgot to get the kids gifts and came up with that excuse. I was told in like 4th grade science that our blood was blue in our bodies on the way back to the lungs, that oxygen makes it red. My high school students still believed that until I set them straight. They were surprised that the blood in your veins was not blue, despite what they see when looking at their wrists. However, there is in fact a color difference in arterial and venous blood. Arterial blood is light bright red and bubbly due to the oxygen. Blood from a vein is a much darker red color, more like crimsony, due to the lack of oxygen. Source 1. Educated Health. Professional Source 2. Used to be an IV drug user. Sometimes I would hit an artery instead of a vein, and it was visible at once from the color of the blood in the needle. Shit. Now I know blood is always red and cracking knuckles doesn't cause arthritis. Next year, they're gonna be a lot harder on you about this, and the rules only get more strict. Heard that at the end of every year in elementary school, but by high school the rules are much less strict. You on your own in college low. Some of my community college teachers would say, I don't care if you come to class. My lectures come from the book. You can read it yourself or take notes from my lectures. Your syllabus tells you when everything is due. I am not going to waste anyone's time taking roll. There are certain things you need to be physically here for. Anything besides that is your decision. My CT professors, where I don't care if you come to class. But the CC's policy is if you miss at least 15 of the classes, you are automatically dropped and nothing I can do about it unless you were in the hospital or you had your whole family die. Same with the state school. Did people really go to colleges where you didn't get dropped if you missed more than 3 classes in a 15-week, 1 class a week course? For me, it depended on the class professor. Some classes, people skipped all the time and just showed up for tests and quizzes. Others had attendance as part of the grade, which could be assessed through different ways. Same for me. The ironic part being that classes with those professors were the ones I never missed because I loved going to them, legitimately enjoyed being there. I would stay after class with my geology professor and one other guy to talk about volcanoes, climate change, atom bombs. He absolutely loved it and would just chop it up until I had to leave. He would tell us the week before if the next week would be a project required or a lecture not required, and there was never an empty seat. Everyone just loved watching him teach. See, I found high school to be the most strict. The only real loosening was we could chew gum and there was a snack bar in the cafeteria that meant we could have ice cream for lunch instead of the normal school cafeteria crap. They insisted we wouldn't get away with whatever thing in college. Went to college and no one cared if you were late, or didn't show up at all, or didn't do homework, or called the teacher by their first name, only indeed some requested it. You wanted to chat with friends instead of paying attention, no problem as long as you were quiet enough not to be disruptive. Want to use a swear word in a formal paper, no problem as long as it's not every sentence. My nana would say you're getting so tall whenever she saw me. I'm 5'1". Are you making fun of me, Nana? Is that what's happening here? Maybe she is shrinking. It's well known that older people shrink. People call me short, but I'm still grandma's big boy. Well, let's hope that my uncle saying you get more pretty every time I see you wasn't said in the same way your nana said that. My friend's uncle told her in a hick southern accent, you really was one ugly-looking kid, but you turned out to be a good-looking woman. She didn't know whether to take it as an insult or compliment. We are almost there, during a long car journey. One year my mom gave me and my sister each a Ziploc, about a third full of jingling quarters, and said each time you ask that question or get too loud, I will take a quarter away. We were dead silent for the whole journey. Got a 3-hour trip coming up with the kids. Definitely trying this one. Yeah, it depends on how old they are, but are we there yet? Was never really a question for us. 3, because my parents made sure to tell us how long the trip would be and at what time we were supposed to arrive. Every time we would stop, when we got back into the car, the one behind the wheel would go, we did this distance. We still have this amount to go. It's going to take us this many hours. When you have the information, you do not need to ask. Also, audiobooks are absolutely magic for kids. We still make jokes we learnt in the ones we had with my siblings. 20 years later, my aunt had her twin sons bickering in the back seat. She said she didn't want to hear a peep out of them until they got to their destination. Or else, well, she stopped for gas. One of the boys used the bathroom, and it wasn't until my aunt drove 3 exits that she realized only one of the boys was in the back seat and panicking asked my cousin why he didn't say his brother was still in the bathroom. Then he said, you told me not to talk. This was before cell phones, but all was good in the end. That moths were the ghosts of butterflies. Cheers for that one, Dad. Honestly, such a cool lie that I would tell my children. I'm about to wake mine up just to tell them this. Sneak in and whisper, remember moths are butterflies, ghost, and walk away. They'll think it's a dream and be like, my dad told me that all lizards are named Russell because they make a rustle noise in the bushes. I proudly told everyone this in class at about age 6. I still remember the blank looks and the teacher laughing. My grandpa told me he wouldn't swim with me at the beach because he's made of salt and he'll melt. I believed him. Total lie. He'd dissolve, not melt. Bad people, criminals, never win. Sometimes they become president. I need to behave in school because I have a permanent record. Lol, no. I was thinking about this the other day. Could you imagine if interviews brought up a permanent record from elementary school? Look, we'd love to hire you, but you called your 3rd grade classmate a poopy head. Then you had to clap erasers instead of going to reset. I tell my kids this all the time. Girl, no one cares what you got in 7th grade science class. Just do a decent job and don't be an asshole. You need to get good grades in high school or you'll never get into a good school. Jokes on them, community college is cheaper and you can get a damn near perfect GPA and transfer pretty much anywhere. Graduated high school with a 2.2 GPA, 3.57 GPA at a no-name public university. I start a master's at Duke this month. High school GPA is irrelevant in the long term. I did something similar but ended up at Hofstra. I know someone who got kicked out of high school, got a 4.0 associates, and ended up graduating with his bachelor's and then getting his JID at Columbia. When I was a teacher, I would straight up just tell my kids that there is no such thing. It doesn't matter. They were always so anxious about fucking up. It's stupid. Fuck up. It's how you learn. Just eat the crust. It'll make your hair curly. My mom must have just been trying to make me appreciate those uneaten pizza corners. I was told that and pickles put hair on my chest. I do have a quite hairy chest, so I haven't questioned it. I too eat a lot of pickles and have a hairy chest. I'm a lady. If you keep making that face, it'll freeze that way. Or if you look cross eyes, they'll get stuck that way, lol. or gum will get stuck to your ribs for 7 years if you swallow it. Our DARE officer in elementary school said the reason marijuana was so dangerous is because the smoke never leaves your lungs. I had some bees told to me through DARE. Funny thing though, in 5th or 6th grade we had DARE come to our school and talk about drugs. They really made a big deal about weed, since it was viewed as so bad back then, but where I went to school is in like the marijuana capital of the US now. Well, they had all of us kids write an essay on why drugs are bad and why we will never do drugs. I have always been able to write very well. My degree is in English lol. However, I wrote this amazing essay and won a leather DARE jacket. I thought it was the most awesome thing ever, but I became a raver a few years later and definitely did my share of stuff lol. No idea where the jacket is. I never wanted to wear it, so I wouldn't ruin it. I wish I could find it and wear it to a party lol. Cracking your knuckles is bad for you. Some adults genuinely believe that. I know doctors that believe it. My mom is a nurse and she believes it. My mom is a nurse and she believes a lot of weird things. My ex-sister-in-law is a nurse and sells crystals for their powers. My dad used to tell me that if I did not go to bed, Mick Hucknall from Simply Red would come and get me. I still shudder when I see him now, and I'm 37. Edit, seems it not just me that cringes over Mick Hucknall. This was my most upvoted comment ever. Thanks all for agreeing. Ha, my folks always told me if I didn't go to bed, Ted Nugent would get me. If you're an underage girl, Ted Nugent is already in your bed. That the bully slept with my mum. No such thing happened. He was such a liar. Hey buddy, it's me. Hate to break it to you. This is going to sound silly, but I believed in the Sesame Street version of reality. It was really hard to reconcile the world as it actually is, and the world as it should be, if you side with the Sesame Street ethos. Star Trek. The Next Generation did that to me. Everyone was so competent and worked together professionally. Where the F are those adults? Science fiction is so out there, Matt. That show fucking raised me. It taught me how to own up and apologize when I was wrong, to put differences aside for the sake of a common cause, to know that my principles came in a certain order of importance, and that I needed to know the order, so that when the time came, I would know which rules could be broken to stay. Humble about what I don't know, to respect the hell out of other cultures, even when their way of doing things is different than ours, especially when it's different from ours. It taught me that leaders aren't the best at what they do. They are the best in knowing what others can do and trusting them to do it. It also taught me that leadership was not a position of greater privilege, but greater responsibility. It taught me that it was okay to be gay and that some people don't feel like the gender they were born with. Most importantly, it taught me that the best way to celebrate good news was a mariachi band and a couple of hootie mama. Swallowed gum takes 7 years to digest. If you work hard and are loyal to your job, you'll get promoted and paid more. My father really fucked me up with that one. Now I'm 29 and my body just fails me. That the boys tease you because they like you. No, they were bullies. And best way to stop bullies is to just ignore them. Fight back is probably a way better solution. I was unpopular and bullied by an asshole for years. In 7th grade, he admitted it was because I was nice to him in 2nd or 3rd grade and he had a crush on me all that time. I told him to go to hell. I was raised as a Christian and I was born with golden horse syndrome. They kept telling me that if prayed and practiced that mustard seed faith that my deformities would suddenly disappear when I woke up one morning. That and I wouldn't be poor anymore. They always said I didn't pray hard enough. Man, that's cruel. I can't stand those attitudes. They're not even biblical. I thought there would be more quicksand. People will try to give me free drugs. Dab. Only people who work hard get ahead in life. Having worked for a place that was built on nepotism, I can tell you that is a straight-up lie. Nepotism, old boys clubs, there are so many counterexamples. You'll understand when you are older. I'm almost 30 and still don't. My math teacher telling me I wouldn't always have a calculator in my pocket. Then they're like, what if phones stop working? Bitch, if phones all stop working, then we have bigger problems than 9, 10, 21, 1. Almost. With taxes and tip, it's 25. Depends. Your DoorDasher will trash your food or eat it unless it's 35, 40. I've never DoorDashed. No need. I just eat the food my neighbor leaves for me outside his front door.
Nice fella, but always getting angry about something.
I was told in second grade that I needed to know how to write in cursive because that's how everyone writes as an adult.
Lies!
They should have just taught us how to write our full names in cursive and be done with that. They never needed to spend an entire month on it. Month? I feel like we spent years on it. We had to write papers in cursive at my school saying we would need to write in cursive in high school. Lies. If you told lies, your tongue turned blue, and when we hear the ice cream van playing its jingle, it meant there wasn't any ice cream left. I was told if I peed in the pool, the water would turn purple around me, and everyone would know. Guess I developed a good habit of not going pee in the pool. That someday my prince will come, thanks Disney. I wanted to name our new 3D printer Snow White because someday my prince will come at the last place I worked at and everyone just looked at me like I was stupid. Go to college and you'll be successful. This one still makes me bitter. 5 degrees between my husband and we still barely make ends meet. But our parents could support the entire family one single job. We did everything right and had everything right and had everything rightage and we still got school. Now my folks try to say you're still young. It'll get better. How and when? Turning 46 and I don't see anything changing. That eating everything on your plate will somehow feed a starving child in China or Africa, or both. That if I worked hard, I would be able to afford a house, a car, and a yearly vacation. Joke's on me, lol. My mom always told us it was illegal to have the lights on in the car. I've literally been pulled over for having the dome light on while driving. The officer told me it was a distraction to myself and others, and also implied that it could mean I was doing something I shouldn't, drugs, because it was on. We had a nice conversation. I apologized and I never questioned what my mama told me again. Up until now, she had always told me it would get me pulled over. What do you need that light for? Doing drugs?